I didn't plan to go to his house. It just happened. One moment we were packing our books in the quiet corner of the library, and the next, Tyler leaned in and asked, "Want to stop by mine? I've got the lecture slides if you need them." His voice was casual, easy, but his eyes lingered a bit too long on mine. That should have been the first sign. We'd been sitting together in class for weeks now. He was the kind of guy who never tried too hard. He didn't need to. His confidence was natural, not loud, and he had a way of making people gravitate toward him. I'd always kept it friendly. I had Eli. We'd been together for almost 2 years. But lately, things between us felt like pages left in the rain. Blurred. Hard to read. Still there, but not holding together. So when Tyler smiled like that and invited me over, I nodded. His place wasn't far. A short walk, just long enough for him to make small talk while my mind wandered. I kept checking my phone, half hoping Eli would text me first. He hadn't. When we stepped into Tyler's apartment, I noticed how quiet it was. He lived alone, or maybe with roommates who were never around. The lights were dim, not in a shady way, but warm, intentional. There was music playing faintly from his speaker. Jazz, I think. Something slow. "Make yourself comfortable," he said, disappearing into the kitchen. I stood awkwardly, scanning the shelves, records, books, a photo of him with a girl, probably a sister. Then he returned with 2 mugs of tea. "You like chamomile, right?" I blinked. I didn't remember telling him that. He just smiled. We sat on the couch, our knees almost touching. He opened his laptop and started going through the slides, but I wasn't listening. Not really. I was hyper-aware of the way his hand moved on the trackpad, the slight brush of his knee against mine, the way his voice dropped when he leaned in to explain something I already understood. "Hey," he said, turning to me suddenly. "Can I ask you something?" I nodded, unsure why my throat was dry. "Are you happy? With Eli, I mean." The question sat between us like a lit match. I looked down at my tea, fingers tightening around the mug. "I don't know." He didn't say anything at first. Just nodded slowly. "I've seen the way you look some days. Like you're holding your breath around him." I wanted to protest. Say he was wrong. But he wasn't. "I'm not trying to start anything," Tyler continued, his voice softer now. "I just think someone should ask you that. Really ask." I stared at him, my heartbeat tapping against my ribs. The room felt hotter. The space between us, smaller. He set his mug down and leaned back, one arm stretched along the back of the couch, fingers inches from my shoulder. "You deserve to be seen," he said. "I don't think he sees you." I opened my mouth to reply, but nothing came out. I wasn't sure what I was feeling. Shame, maybe. Or a kind of hunger I hadn't fed in a long time. Then his hand moved. Just slightly. It grazed my shoulder and lingered. I didn't move. He looked at me, not smug, not arrogant, just calm. Like he already knew. "You know," he whispered, "I always wondered what it would be like to kiss you." The air turned thick. I couldn't think. I couldn't breathe. And yet, I stayed. His hand slid lower, resting lightly against my arm. Not forceful. Just waiting. I didn't pull away. I told myself it was nothing. Just a moment. Just silence filled with too much emotion and not enough reason. But deep down, I knew I'd already made a choice. My phone buzzed. I looked at it. Eli's name. A text. "What time are you getting home?" I didn't answer. Instead, I looked at Tyler. He looked back at me, eyes steady, waiting. That was when I realized this wasn't about notes. It never had been. It was about being seen. And I was tired of disappearing in my own relationship. Tyler didn't kiss me. Not yet. He just leaned in, his breath brushing my cheek, and whispered, "You don't have to go back to pretending." The room spun. My body stilled. Everything inside me screamed to leave. But I didn't move. I just sat there, eyes closed, listening to the sound of my heart cracking open. And in that moment I knew. This was my first mistake. But it wouldn't be my last. I wish I could say I left. That I gathered my things, made some awkward excuse, and walked out into the night, ashamed but clean. But that's not what happened. I stayed. The seconds after Tyler whispered those words stretched out, suspended like a held breath. He didn't push. He didn't move. He just watched me, with those patient eyes that felt like they could see straight through the stories I'd told myself. I didn't say anything. My body did. I shifted slightly, just enough that our legs pressed together. I could have blamed the narrow couch, the angle. But it was me. It was my choice. And that's when his fingers traced the inside of my wrist. Light, barely there. But it set off something sharp and electric. I flinched, not from discomfort, but from how much I wanted more. That terrified me. His hand slid up slowly, brushing against my arm, stopping at my shoulder. Still watching me. Still silent. I looked down, unable to meet his eyes anymore. "You okay?" he asked softly. I nodded. He leaned in. His lips were close, so close I could feel the warmth. Still not touching me, just offering. And I let it happen. When our mouths met, it wasn't urgent or wild. It was slow, like tasting something you've longed for but didn't believe you'd ever have. His hand cradled the back of my neck. Mine clutched the cushion under me like it could anchor me to something real. The guilt didn't come right away. At first, there was only sensation. Soft lips, warm breath, the ache of two people who'd been circling something unspoken for too long. I should have stopped. I knew that. I knew Eli. I knew what this meant. But logic had no place in that room. It was drowned beneath the weight of being seen, touched, wanted in a way I hadn't felt in months, maybe longer. Tyler pulled back first, barely an inch. "You don't have to say anything," he whispered. And I didn't. Because I couldn't. Words would have shattered the illusion. But I stood up. My chest felt tight. The walls were closing in. I needed to get out. He didn't stop me. Just looked up at me with something unreadable. Maybe sadness, maybe victory. Maybe both. I grabbed my bag and headed toward the door, fumbling with the zipper as I tried to catch my breath. "Jordan," he said, and I froze. I didn't turn around. "You don't have to pretend with me." I left without answering. Outside, the air hit me hard, cold and sobering. My feet moved quickly, but my mind lagged behind, stuck in that room, in that kiss, in the way his voice wrapped around my name like it belonged to him. By the time I got home, my phone had died. I plugged it in and watched as the screen lit up with missed messages. 3 texts from Eli. 1 call. Another text, "Are we okay? You've been quiet lately." That one hurt the most. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the reply button. What could I say? "Yeah, just kissed someone else tonight. Felt more real than the last 2 months with you." I set the phone down and walked into the bathroom. I looked at myself in the mirror, expecting to see something different, some physical sign of what I'd done. But I looked the same. Maybe more tired. More hollow. I turned on the tap, splashed water on my face, and tried to breathe. I told myself it was just a kiss. It didn't mean anything. But I was lying. Because deep down, I knew that moment was the first honest thing I'd felt in a long time. Eli called while I was brushing my teeth. I let it ring. Then, seconds later, a knock on the front door. I froze. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door, and there he was, Eli. Smiling like nothing was broken. "Surprise," he said. "Figured we could hang out tonight. Maybe watch something, talk." I tried to smile back. My mouth moved, but my chest was heavy. "Yeah," I said, voice hoarse. "That sounds good." He stepped inside and hugged me. I wrapped my arms around him, feeling the difference. His touch was familiar, but it didn't reach me the way it used to. He was warm. He was real. But all I could think about was Tyler's hand on mine. The way it made me feel, seen, wanted, dangerous. Eli pulled away, kissed my cheek. "I missed you." I nodded. "Yeah, me too." But even as I said it, I felt the lie stick in my throat. Because I was still tasting someone else's lips. And I couldn't stop wondering if I'd ever feel clean again. Eli fell asleep beside me that night, curled up close like nothing had changed. His breathing slowed into rhythm, soft and steady, while mine refused to follow. I lay stiff on my back, eyes wide open, staring into the dark, replaying everything in silence. The room felt colder than it should have. Not physically, but in the way someone's presence can feel miles away even when they're right next to you. I listened to the quiet hum of the ceiling fan, the creak of the floor when Eli shifted in his sleep. But underneath it all, there was a sound only I could hear, Tyler's voice. "You don't have to pretend with me." It echoed again and again, and each time, it made the wall between me and Eli feel thicker. In the morning, he made coffee like he always did, kissed me on the shoulder, asked if I wanted eggs. I watched him move around the kitchen, trying to find the version of myself that used to be here with him, that used to find comfort in his morning voice and his awkward way of cracking eggs with one hand. I nodded at all the right places, said, thanks, and sure, and yeah. But it was like watching a movie I'd already seen too many times. Halfway through breakfast, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Thinking of you. You felt it too." No name. But I didn't need one. My chest tightened. I placed the phone face down and pushed my plate away. Eli glanced at me. "You okay?" "Just not hungry." He reached out and touched my hand. "You've been off lately." I noticed. I didn't answer. My throat was closing again. "We can talk, you know," he added. "About anything. You don't have to hold it all in." But I was already holding too much. And none of it felt safe to share. I wanted to scream the truth. I wanted to tell him everything and feel the burn of honesty cleanse me. But I also wanted to run back to Tyler, to that dangerous warmth, to the way his gaze melted my defenses. Later that day, Eli suggested we go out. "Clear your head. We can hit that little bookstore you love, maybe grab sushi." I said yes, even though I wanted to say no. I kept doing that, agreeing to things that belonged to someone I used to be. At the bookstore, Eli held my hand. I let him. He pulled out a poetry book and read a line to me, smiling. "Sometimes the loneliest place is lying next to someone who doesn't know your thoughts." He chuckled. "That one's intense, huh?" I nodded. He didn't know how true it was. That night, I showered with the lights off. Let the water fall until my skin stung. I hoped maybe it would wash the memory away, of Tyler's hand, his voice, his kiss. But water doesn't erase desire. Or guilt. When I stepped out, Eli was already in bed, scrolling through his phone. I slid in beside him, wrapped in a towel, my hair dripping. He put the phone down. "Hey," he whispered. "You good?" I forced a smile. "Yeah. Just tired." He reached out and tucked a wet strand of hair behind my ear. His hand lingered there, gentle. He leaned in, kissed me, slow and soft. I kissed him back. But it felt like a performance. Like pretending to be someone whose heart hadn't already split into two. After he fell asleep, I slipped out of bed and walked to the kitchen. The night was quiet, thick. I stood by the window, staring into the empty street, wondering if Tyler was awake. Wondering if he missed me. Wondering what that even meant. I opened my phone and stared at the message again. "Thinking of you. You felt it too." I didn't reply. But I didn't delete it either. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe I'm weak. Maybe I'm broken. Maybe I'm just human, caught between what I should want and what I actually do. Eli still doesn't know. He still smiles when I walk into a room, still makes my coffee right, still texts me good night when we're apart. I still smile back. But something inside me shifted. Something I can't undo. I thought the mistake was going to Tyler's house. But now I wonder if the real mistake was convincing myself that I'd be content pretending for the rest of my life. Because now that someone's seen the real me, touched the part one keep hidden, it's impossible to unfeel it. And no matter how hard I try to be the version of myself Eli fell in love with, that version is slipping away. Quietly. And I'm letting it happen.